Corner, the weekly live, and I am here with Jay Carter, which needs absolutely no introduction at this point. Today,
Yeah, no intro.
no intro. We're not gonna waste that time. Today, we're gonna be discussing a couple of things that are like I think a lot of us can resonate with.
Mm-hmm.
Just a little bit of a story. You know, I think we all have this experience. You get home, you're tired, you're absolutely exhausted. You had a hard day, and your wife turns to you and she's like, how was your day? And she has her own stresses. You can't you know tell her how hard your day was, so you answer, yeah, it was okay, it was fine. And we enter into this kind of mentality where we don't understand how you got to be two completely different people, right? You can't take your work home with you, you can't take home to work with you, and there's that balance. And the truth is nobody gives a shit how you feel, and that's what it feels
No.
like. Nobody really cares how you feel. Your customer doesn't give a shit what you had to go through to get the job done. They just want the product. Your staff, they don't care what you had to go through. And you're at home, and you still have a couple of phone calls to make. You have to get on the phone with that client, and you're absolutely exhausted. And you get on the phone with that client, and you start pitching your services and doing what you do, and you get rejected. So how do we recover from that, right?
Well, this is a topic dear to my heart. Not only have I lived it and experienced it, and handled it wrong, but I've also handled it right. So first things first, schedule. I would never set a sales call for the evening. You know why?
Hmm.
You know why?
Tell
Because
me.
that's not the time for it. There's a time for my family. And again, in order for me to be successful in my business, I have to time block things. I have to make sure that my energy matches the task. Okay? So if I'm coming home, my time, as soon as I leave the office, or that is my signal that work is done. And that's my time for my family. No matter how bad things are going, no matter how busy I am, no matter how much, I have learned, again, doing it right way, doing it the wrong way, that like I have to become present for my family. I have, because that's my values. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing. So that sales call is never going to be important enough for me to take that time away from my family. Now, again, when we talk about rejection, rejection is the way that I have been able to understand it, and the way that I've been able to manage it is actually it comes from being around people that are where I want to be and hearing what they have to say about it. That I've developed my own mindset that I take with me every day, and it's actually reversing that feeling that you get. So for me, I actually go into the sales call looking for the rejection, if that makes sense. All right. I actually go into it seeking it out. All right. The reason why is because I know my time is valuable. I know that my process and my system of sales is effective. All right. I know that I have a strategy, I have a plan, and I've worked very hard on. So I don't want to waste my time with somebody that is not worth wasting my time with. So the sooner I get rejected, the sooner I can focus on something else and make that new opportunity happen. So I rather get a no and F you and it's over. By the way, I will go that far. I will follow up 100 times if I need to. What boils my blood the most is not getting that yes or no, right? I want to clean, like we got it or we didn't get it. Cool, we didn't get it, no problem. I've done everything I can. I walk away. I leave my piece on the table and I move on to the next opportunity. The reality of it is, and no matter what anybody else, is feeling and saying, is there's more opportunity in this world and today than there's ever been in the history of business, right? Anybody that thinks that we're anything less than an abundant world is fooling themselves, right? And I know this, and I wake up every single day and I remind myself of it. I show gratitude towards the opportunities that are available to me. And immediately those rejections just fall off. I neutralize those negative emotions. Right now, this is something That takes practice. It takes energy. It takes commitment. But neutralizing your negative emotions, all right, allows you to be present for the things that matter the most. Okay. Remember, guys, you got into this business so business could serve you and your family. If you are serving your business, you've got it backwards, right? And that is a decision. That is a choice that you make. And the choice that you're making when you take those sales calls, when you interfere with your family's time, when you interfere with the things that matter most to you, is that saying why it takes your energy away is because you know it's against your value system. Either consciously or subconsciously that you're being forced to do something you don't want to, right? And I think men especially, like you were saying, are consistently and continuously pushed to move outside of their value system. And that's what kills their energy. That's what kills their spirit, right? So again, we all as men want to stand for something. We want to have impact. We want to mean something, mean something to our families, mean something. We want to be, again, if I had to put a word on it, I want to be validated by my wife. I want to be the man in the family. I want to be the man in my life. And society, I think, puts a lot of pressure on that. We're constantly being tested. We're constantly being, thrown under the bus. There's not a lot of,
For sure.
places you can go to, even express your fear, right? I think that's one of the saddest things that we have as contractors is there's a lot of fear, anxiety, stress. And where do you go to, talk to people that have dealt with that? What is the systems they use to, make themselves feel human or alive?
Yeah, well,
Right.
Jay, listen, we're men, right? Like
Right.
we internalize our emotions. We
Right.
process things internally and
But
logically.
that's
We don't have
toxic.
anybody. It is for sure, but I mean, since we were children, and I can only speak from the perspective of a man,
Hmm.
obviously. But ever since we were children, we were taught that if you get hurt, you keep it in. You internalize it. You resolve it internally. And like you mentioned being surrounded by people that you can communicate with. It's a tough thing for most people because we were
I,
taught against that, right?
I can't agree more. And I think society has built it as a mechanism to control people. Because think about it. How do you control society? How do you control a group of people? You divide and you conquer, right? The more isolated contractors make themselves, because society says, don't show your emotions, don't be vulnerable, don't you dare be vulnerable, because that's weakness. Bullshit. I'll tell you, that is absolute bullshit. That's a lie. That is a mechanism of control that's perpetrated by whoever. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but think about the logic behind it. Like, really stand back from it and analyze that, right? How do you perform? How do you win? And I'm going to tell you, like, winning on the battlefield is a day-to-day battle. Okay.
Mhm.
Winning in business is a day-to-day mindset battle. Winning in, being the champion for your family, being the best at which you have to be at. If you think you're going to do that alone, good luck. All right. And you go show me any actually successful person, balanced, successful person, the person that's got their family, their health, they're wealthy. They got all the things that we look up to. And you tell me, who else is behind them? Who has been supporting them? Who has been, their vent
Right.
or, their inspiration? Because again, if you don't have that network, if you don't have that connection, all right, you are not living, my friend. And many of us aren't taught to live. We're taught to survive, right? And that's exactly that whole be strong, be like, you got to be a rock. That is like, it makes no sense. It's archaic. It's what's holding back contractors. I see fear and anxiety so much, so often, every single day. And I see how it affects decision making. I see guys that self-sabotage themselves. They throw themselves, they got the answers. They've got all the room to be successful and be the person they want to be. And then something it tells them in their head, stop, go back.
Right.
Go back to where you're safe. And where am I safe? On the hamster wheel. Right? I don't deserve this. I'm not, imposter syndrome. Again, for me, it's a very frustrating experience because I see so many amazing, talented people in our group, in our network, in my clients. And there's always fear behind everything that we do. Okay. It's new. Of course it is. It's something you've never done before. Right. And where I find the gap, and where it's so obvious to me, is in that support. It's giving them a place where they can express these things that are scaring them. They can be honest about how they're feeling. They can talk about how to be successful. They can look up to someone that's doing what they want to do. And I mean, if I didn't have it, if I didn't have a network like this that I am religious to, all right? And it's not about learning new things. It's about reinforcing the things I already know and holding me accountable to my values and
Right.
to who I am, because that is what zaps your energy. And then removing the things in our lives, removing the distractions, removing the stuff that serves no purpose, and all of us are carrying it. What's it doing? Like, I mean, again, I'll give you a very good example, and not to take this conversation over, but obviously I'm pretty passionate about it. Um, so if my clients out there, they'll know that I use a system to neutralize, negative emotions. And it's literally just a self-talk, system where you can see, kind of how to neutralize the thoughts, the feelings. So you can be present. So you can actually get things done, high performance. Okay. And I do this all the time with clients. I teach them to do it with their staff. Like, it's a healthy thing. Okay. Now you can do this through yoga. You can do this through like whatever floats your boat. Right. And it amazes me. It amazes me every time I do it, how effective it is, but also how people have never been taught to do these things, to how to manage their emotions, how to be emotionally intelligent, right? And
Agreed.
how to get to a place where they're present enough to actually feel alive. Like, what are you doing all this? How can you go and actually, I should maybe say, I went an entire decade where I survived. I didn't live. There's zero happy moments, zero things other than fear, anxiety, stress. Like, and I wouldn't wish that upon my worst enemy. Okay. Looking back on it, yeah, I survived it, but like, why? I lost a decade of my life, struggling with a business that if I had had strong people around me would have told me, hey, listen, just get rid of that, move on. You're going to be fine. You're going to be successful. Everything will be great. If I had heard those words or that encouragement, or, had the right influence at that time, I'm going to save a decade of my life in trauma. And, again, worrying about bills, worrying about, like, that is the absolute epitome of slavery, right? And I'm a slave to myself. Like, no one kept me there. It was a decision. And it was a decision because society told me I had to be strong. I couldn't show emotions. That makes you actually retarded and stupid,
Mhm.
right? I hate to say it, but like, when do you ever get to feel alive or feel yourself, right? Is that supposed to be a rare occasion, and then you just go back to the, like, it makes no sense.
Well, it doesn't exist. I mean, it does. It should. I mean, we put ourselves last, right, Jay? This is what we
Absolutely.
do in our day-to-day business. We put ourselves last as so-called
Hmm.
leaders, right? And it's we need to define what the term leader is first of
Hmm.
all. But I got to be honest. I don't struggle with this as much as I used to. Right?
Hmm.
There was a day that I threw more work at it, more time at it, but it never made it better. It only ever made it harder. Right? I never actually got ahead. And I can tell you from personal experience that I got to a point where I had to, it's going to sound silly, right? But I had to give myself permission to be
Hmm.
happy. I had to give myself permission by forgiving myself.
Hmm.
It's like that's like the barrier, right? To move into that next step. And then, naturally, I started seeking out people in
Right.
my life that I can communicate with, that I can
Hmm.
actually be vulnerable around. And generally, they're people that
That
are on the pursuit of happiness and success.
right.
And you start to like relieve yourself of this like idea and burden that men have to internalize. Men have to be tough. A leader
Right.
has to be alone, and you don't.
That's it's false. And again, that what you just said there. Again, I'll give you some credit on that. Like, it
Yes.
took me more than a decade, and lots of, and maybe it's that I am a contractor and stubborn, and and a lot of it was, I couldn't be told, and until you actually get to a point where, there's nowhere else to go,
That's
right?
right.
There's nowhere else.
Rock
And,
bottom.
and when you start, like, for me, a big one was when my daughters was born. Um, you know, right there and then I knew that I had to change. I have to grow as a human being in order for me to see the success that I want. again, you can only go so, like, there's a ceiling to everything. And what I came to conclusion with, which was absolutely correct, my business wasn't growing because I wasn't growing.
That's right.
I wasn't becoming a better person. I wasn't happy where I was. Right now, here's the thing: happiness is a decision. Right? We all have the opportunity every single day to find ourselves in happiness and find ourselves present, or we can find ourselves in anxiety, or we can find ourselves in depression. We can find, like, those are decisions. Now, again, I'm not trying to tell anybody how they live their life, and I want to make that really, really clear. Like, what you do need to find, what I've been able to find, is how to control those emotions and give yourself the best opportunity to succeed, right? So like I said, there are some people out there that exercise does it for them. Perfect. Let's hold you accountable to that. There's some people out there that talking about their vision and their goals in their life, like, perfect. Let's put that, like, let's make that a priority, right? For me, it's, diffusing. It's about getting present. I value being present. Man, I can't tell you enough how many people day in day, there's so many distractions, so much noise that's going on in the world, and like
Sure.
so many emotions that aren't ours that we pick up on and that continuously take away our happiness, right? There's energy. Like, most people don't value their energy. They just feel like they're these invincible beings that are just supposed to bulldoze through life. Well,
Yeah.
guys, it's not true, and it's not accurate. And by the way, you're not being productive, which you don't get. That, I would take 2 hours of being present over a week of just getting by, because I know how much I get done and how good I feel about getting it done. And listen, just like, let's use our common sense on this. We've all had those experiences where, out of nowhere, we just, like, everything clicks, and we just, like, big decisions get made. Like, everything's just, like,
Just
right
in
there.
the zone. Yeah.
Right. I call it, it's your flow state, right?
Mhm.
We just find ourselves there. Now, what's ironic to me, everybody I bring it up, they're okay, yeah, I know that one. And then it's usually followed by a huge crash. And then, like, but what if, just, throwing it out there, what if you could be in that state more often? What if you could live more in that state than you do in just survival mode? What would your life look like? What would your business look like? Well, like, it's literally impossible not to succeed at that rate. There's nothing. You're more resilient, you're stronger, you're happier. Like, there's no downside to it. Literally, like, everything I feel has a downside to it. There's only one thing that doesn't. And there's only really one thing in your life you can control, right? That's the thing between your ears, right? And that's how you feel about your world and your position, right?
Dude, you nailed it there. 100%.
What else can you truly control? You can't. But I'll tell you, the difference between succeeding, all right, and failing is inches. Okay, it's inches. And most of us take those opportunities for granted. Whether it's failing or succeeding, both of them are opportunity. For every positive, there's a negative reaction. Again, but where does the magic happen? It happens there, right in the middle, right? So, Johnny, what are we talking about here? What are we announcing today? What are we going to offer here? Because there's got to be an offer, right? We've told the story, we've had the hook.
100%.
What's the offer?
100%. Well, I mean, here it is at the end of the day, and I'm going to let you do the announcement, obviously,
Sure.
but here we are, and we're expected to grow our businesses, and we're expected to perform, and we're expected to become big leaders, right? And we struggle with an internal battle. Like, how are we supposed to be responsible and lead others to become better versions of themselves if we're trapped inside of ourselves?
Well, again, I don't have all the answers, and this is a really fun thing for me to announce, because it's not all on me, right? So what we're announcing today is we are taking another opportunity to create a class, create a place where contractors can come, anybody, they can come for free, where you can focus on yourself and focus on your vision, your mission, your values, and be surrounded by other people that have succeeded at doing what you're doing. All right. So we're going to have health experts. We're going to be looking at, everything to do with you, the human being. All right. And we'll call it a brotherhood, sisterhood. We're not going to get caught up too much on the names, because it's the the whole concept of it is that we think a lot of contractors are suffering alone. And this is exactly what we don't want. We know in order for you to succeed in your business, you need to be surrounded by positive energy and people that bring your spirit up in this world, and that are giving you real answers, but giving you a place where you can feel vulnerable, and everybody's there to see you win, right? And I think in the contracting space, there isn't a lot of outlets like that. I think a lot of us are seeking solutions to our problems without ever taking ourselves into consideration. And I know for a absolute fact, all right, that in order to get anybody to succeed at anything in business, you have to work just as hard on yourself, if not more, to develop into that person and to be that person that's going to lead your teams, to lead your business. And without being around good influences, it's very, very hard to do, right? So again, we're going to be inviting everybody that's listening, anybody in our community, to come out. Some of the main things that we'll be focusing on is health, mindset, a lot to do with energy, how to get back your energy, how to feel present, how to feel human, how to enjoy your experiences. This is all things happiness. This is all things balance. This is all things that, as contractors, we don't get to talk about or get to feel about. And at the end of the day, I hope to get one outcome from it. All right. I don't want to tell you how to live your life. Nobody will tell you. All right. But we're going to help you reinforce what you already know to be true and find your happiness, find your balance. Right. And again, it's support, it's inspiration, it's mentorship. And it's, I'm hoping it's going to be a great place of inspiration, right? Where we can feel, that we're heard, and that we're around people that have done what we want to do, right?
Yeah, everybody, like, we don't have to do this alone. You can't
Right.
do it alone. We need each other, and we need you for ourselves as well. We're out there looking for people exactly like us that can have this conversation, that can have this dialogue, and have a space that we can communicate about this.
Right.
Because the question is how do people do it? How do people do it? How do people maintain their happiness and do everything? They don't do it alone.
Right. That's right. If you want to
Do
go
it together.
fast, go alone. If you want to go long, go with a team. Right. So again, pretty exciting for us. We are going to have a lot of systems and processes and accountability and health, and we're really putting a lot of effort into bringing in the right experts, having the right conversations. Going to be completely structured, not boring. I'll say it won't be boring. So super excited about it. Great opportunity to jump in, anybody that's out there as well, and be an influence if you feel like you can help somebody else. One of the greatest ways to get back your own energy, as I know, and I'm addicted to, is helping other people, right? Is if you want to feel alive, help some other people, give a brother a hand up, help him when he's feeling down, when he's feeling defeated, and let's change some lives. Let's have some impact.
Yeah,
So,
share your stories, share your
mhm.
experiences, and get out there and let's do this together.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that'll close it, Jay.
Yeah.
I'm really happy to hear that we're doing this. Like, once you told me about it, I was so excited. Like, this is the piece that's missing.
I can't agree more. So super pumped about it. We will be posting shortly with the dates and times. So guys, make sure that you're signing up and coming out, and